Yo, 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 and welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylar.
I'm Morgan. Happy Thursday and happy ep 192.
192.
Doing so good.
You are.
Guys, our Taylar girl's a little sickly today.
Yeah, I feel like ass.
But her case will sound perfect because
it's from last week. Yeah,
so it worked out great.
Like, what are the chances of that? Like, that wasn't even planned.
Yeah, it was. That's
it just kind of worked out perfect.
That's good manifestation on our part.
It was.
Well,
it
not
was
to
like,
get sick.
Not to get sick, but just to be prepared.
Just to be
prepared girls.
That's right.
That's right.
We are girlies.
We are proactive.
Are being proactive.
We are being proactive, not reactive.
Procrastinators wear not here.
Never, ever heard of them.
So Memorial Day weekend, how was yours?
Me and Logan were sick the entire time. Yeah. So now I am. This is like, I think, the rawest I've ever been on the podcast. Like, I feel like shit. Not a drop of makeup. Just got out of the shower. Granny panties on.
And her skin looks so good.
I look like Morgan. Like, literally, look how clear my skin is.
It looks really good. Like, even the first Snapchat you sent me, because this is like how we Snapchat, and this is how I do it with everyone. So it's not just you.
Yeah.
But like, I'll send something, and then someone will send me something, and then I never like actually acknowledge what they said.
Because they're all streaks.
But like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like, no one ever acknowledges what I said. So then I usually will just send something back random. If that, usually it's just once a day.
Yeah, that's it.
I actually Snapchat her back. I said, holy shit, your skin. You're right.
It looks good. It looks so good. I don't know. I mean, I know what happened. It was called Morgan's Right.
Yeah. The craziest thing.
It's the craziest thing. I text her. I was like, it's the craziest thing.
I screenshotted this.
And then I said, you were actually right all this time or whatever. And I said, I just
But
didn't
I
wear
actually
makeup.
didn't even, I was screenshotting it because you're just saying I was right. I didn't even put like what you're saying together because then you were like, that came out wrong.
That came out
like,
so wrong.
I wasn't even paying attention to that. I was just screenshotting.
I knew you knew what I
right.
meant. But when I read it back, I was like, oof.
That's all right.
Sounds mean as fuck.
It looks really good. So I told her that what she should do for the rest of summer is just a very light tinted moisturizer. And she said, yeah, I could definitely do that with just eyes. Then the next text was, well, and maybe a little blush and bronzer for the contour.
Yep.
Then the next one was maybe also a little concealer
just
around
a little
the eyes,
bit.
just a little bit. And then she was like, you know what? Maybe just full beat because I'm addicted.
I'm addicted.
So we don't know how long this is going to last. Hopefully she's sick for at least a week.
We'll see.
Really clear it out.
And not a week because we have a whole nother recording day on Thursday.
That's true.
That is true because
true.
it's just allergies.
It's just allergies.
It's just, I might be shivering.
She took a couple Zyrtecs and she'll be good.
Sweating. Allergies.
It's just allergies.
It's just allergies.
Yeah, your arm could be falling off and it's just allergies.
The show must go on. It's just allergies.
Just allergies.
Anyways, so tell me about your Memorial week.
So we had a little, extended vacay, I guess you would call it, because we had to go to a funeral Thursday and Friday. It's not a vacay, but like extended time away from home being in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Which usually we, get home like late Friday night. We only have Saturday really, and then we leave Sunday. It was actually kind of nice to be home for a couple, good days. Anyway, so Saturday morning, my dad had bought a new motor for his boat. Now, my dad's boat is roughly probably 12 years old. That's my guess. Okay. I was old enough to remember when he bought it, but like I wasn't a kid, but like I don't know. Anyway,
right. So
his boat's like 10, 12 years old, and he just bought a new motor for it because why would you buy a whole new boat when you can just buy a motor? Like, makes sense. I mean, my dad's a big bass fisherman. You guys know
I was about to say,
bass.
I know we like mentioned it in passing, but like he's like for real,
tournaments
he does
every
that shit.
Weekend, like wins them, and he's pretty good too.
Yeah, he's really good, yeah.
So he gets this new motor. Well, he hasn't got it in December because he had to buy it right then and there because there was a deal, not a 3-year warranty, but a 5-year warranty.
Oh yeah, deal.
So they had to drop it right there,
then.
So he hasn't gotten to take his new boat out. He's been fishing, but he's been using his partner's boats or his buddy's boats, and he hasn't gotten to take his
little sparkly
new
red
motor
one
out. He hasn't been able to go sparkle in the maroon boat out in the lake or river. So he said to us, it's going to be really nice in the morning. I'm going to probably take the boat out. Do you want to come?
How sweet.
And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I wouldn't mind. Like, I haven't been on a boat with my dad, like fishing with my dad, and probably since I was like 12 or 13 years old.
When he got the damn boat.
When he got the damn thing. So I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. Actually, that sounds fun. Can we bring Ollie? And he was like, yeah, sure. I don't care. And he was like, does Aaron want to come? And I was like, it's a small boat. Like, it's got 3 seats, but I was like, yeah, I'll ask Aaron. It was just for a couple hours and we weren't actually fishing. We were just riding around and he was gonna like test his new motor out.
Yeah.
Aaron's like, yeah, I'll go, but I gotta be back by noon to golf. So we load up and we drive down to the Monongahela River. We load the boat in, and Ollie, first off, is being crazy. There's a literal geese right next to the boat. I mean, literally staring at Ollie like this, and he's like ready to get in, trying to get in. And so I'm like holding him back on a leash, and they have to be in life jackets, you know. So
yeah.
Anyway, we get out and my dad turns the motor on, and he's like, "Oh, that's nice, Aaron.
A nice one.
That's a nice motor.
There's a nice motor right there."
And granted, my dad's boat is like, it's a small bass boat, but this motor is huge.
Yeah.
It's like the size of like.
I don't get that like weight proportion.
Me neither. Me neither.
When I see a bass boat, like a fishing boat like that, I'm like,
yeah, no, I don't.
How the fuck is this thing not front wheeling up?
And this motor is fucking huge. So he turns it on. He's like, oh yeah, I love that shit. So we're driving down and he's timing the RPM. So like every 2 minutes he's increasing the RPM, but he's timing it just to check like this is what the test of the motor is supposed to be or something. He's watching YouTube videos in his ear and then would go and like do it. So
men are all the same.
We're driving down the Monongahela River and we get down and we're cruising. It's real smooth. It's nice. Nobody's out yet because it's early. It's 8 in the morning. Early, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We get in the boat first and he turns the motor on and he's like, damn, that sounds good. But then he's like, oh shit, I got a leak. Up under his steering wheel, water is pouring out. And so he's we're at the dock. I'm fighting Ollie. He's underneath his steering wheel. He's trying to patch up his hole, you know. He's like, my God. He's down there for 10, 15 minutes. Yep. He's like, all right, I got it. Let's go. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure we're good?
Are you sure
like,
that we want to get in this?
We're literally leaking,
We're
Dad.
literally leaking.
So we go a couple miles down the river and we're turning around. And I noticed that like he's saying something and he'd stop and he'd listen to the video, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? He's like, I can't get it past 4,000 RPM. And I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. Why would it be doing? He's like, I don't know. And so he's like, Aaron, get up there at the top. He's thinking, wait, he got too many people in there. So he makes Aaron ride point of the boat. There's no seats up there.
None.
Aaron's up at the point of the boat with Ollie.
Just vibes.
And I'm in the back. He's like, I can't get it to plane, which means like, you know how boats go, and then they settle down.
Yep.
So he's like, Morgan, get your ass up there. And I'm like, okay. So now me, Aaron, and Ollie
are fighting for your lives.
Fighting for our lives at the front of this boat. And we are driving down at a literal 90-degree angle. This little bass boat is making 9-foot wake.
Oh my God.
I'm looking back. I'm like, something's like, he's getting mad and he's just trying to, but there's nothing coming with the throttle.
Dad, where's the wakeboard? I want to hit this fucking
literally.
The
wakes were crazy.
Yeah.
And anyone that was driving by was looking at us because we literally were like,
y'all looked like you were driving vertical down the fucking river.
I was like, something's gonna happen here.
We're gonna fly
And all
off.
of a sudden, I say, Dad, and he's like, what? I said, you got water shooting out the side behind you. He's like, what? Turns around and like the drain is flooding water out, and he's like, holy shit, I got another leak somewhere. Stops the boat, jumps up, opens up all the compartments in the back. He's like, holy fucking shit. We're flooded. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean we're flooded? We're 2 miles away from the dock. What do you mean we can't be flooded? And he's like, bet you didn't expect to swim today. Just cracking
Bucky.
up. I mean, under the back middle compartment, which has like the battery and the hoses.
Where was the beal?
Is all, I don't know what that is. All the way.
It pumps it.
That's what was shooting out the side.
So it was working.
It was working.
Okay, good.
But it was so much that it was like it wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
And so like where the battery is, that back compartment that isn't supposed to store water
it's flooded.
Like water coming through the top onto the mesh.
We had the same weekend.
And so I'm like,
that also happened to me, but on a pontoon, which I already told you about.
I'm like, Dad, like this is crazy. Like, are we gonna be fine? He's like, we just gotta take it slow.
Well, we've been going fucking vertical like, at 4,000 feet.
And he's just cracking up, guys. He's making so many jokes. He's like, oh, that makes sense why we couldn't reach plane. We got 4,000 tons of water in the back.
Damn it, Bucky.
This whole time I thought it was you two.
What, Bucky?
I'm like, you're shaming me. You're fat shaming me. No, just kidding.
Would he have seen that on his own if it would have just been him?
No, I don't think, because it was like literally like back behind him, like on the right, and I could just see it like going sideways, and I'm like, that's a drain. Like, why is it? I don't think that's supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get back to the dock and we're so close. Ollie hadn't been in at all. We were literally approaching the dock, and out of nowhere, he fully darts. My arm is like over the boat and he's swimming. And my dad's like, he's just laughing. He's like, don't let go of that leash. Just let him swim next to us. Ollie's paddling alongside the boat while he's
pulling the boat.
I mean, we looked like the biggest rednecks in the world, and we really were. Ollie was pulling us on the boat. It was the craziest thing ever. And Aaron's looking at me like, I gotta get back to golf. Like, we're supposed to be leaving, and now we gotta go 2 miles an hour because we flooded the boat. And so anyway, it was hilarious.
That's the funniest shit
and
ever.
He thinks it was a hose that is popped, so he's gotta
fix it.
He's gonna figure it out, he said. But it was, I feel so bad for him because like only my dad would buy a brand new motor and be so excited about it.
Yeah.
And what are the odds that that brand new motor would be sunk to the bottom of the Monongahela River the first time you take it out?
Literally.
That's my dad's luck.
Yeah, it is.
Granted, the motor's fine, but like,
well, he got that 5-year warranty though.
Yeah, he got the 5-year warranty, but not on the whole boat. That's what I'm saying. What are like, that is his luck. That is, what if he went out there, tested it out,
and it sunk him.
Sunk the whole thing down to the bottom of the
bad.
river. Oh my God. That's what I was like. Our boat's way too little. Like if we sunk, I would have been in the water. Yeah. I would have been hanging on to, at least I had Ollie.
At least you had Ollie. Yeah.
He would have got me back.
Bro would have literally been like Snow Dog or Underdog or whatever.
I would have just, everyone hold on to the leash. Yeah. He'll take us.
Oh my God, that'd be nice.
Yeah. Well,
let's
get into it.
So what's going to happen is that my case is going to go first since it's a part 2, and then we'll wrap up with Morgan. So Morgan,
if you're driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pour that shit up.
And let's get
creepy.
Before we get started, I haven't told anyone yet. I cut my hair, guys.
Yeah.
I cut it. You can't really see it because it's in a pony.
Looks so cute.
It's actually like nothing drastic, but it feels drastic because my hair was so long. Mm-hmm. But you know how when you leave the salon and you're like, I never want to wash my hair because it just feels so good. Like
yes.
You can't get a good wash like that 100%. On your own.
Yeah.
Well, I washed my hair last night and it still feels like salon hair because I used my Pros.
I should have known.
Shut up, Pros.
I should have known. Shut up, Pros. And you know what, Morgan? What's so crazy is it's not only because you're cut, because even up at your roots, your hair looks so silky and just smooth and shiny. It looks, I mean, I would have thought that you would put a whole gloss on it.
Scrubbing.
Yeah, you got that good scalp scrub. It's the best.
The best product.
It is the best, Pros. I mean, we can't thank you enough. Pros is made for people, not hair or skin types. Personalization is rooted in every single thing that Pros does. From their in-depth hair consultation to their made-to-order model, from millions of possible formulas, only one is uniquely yours or mine.
Recently, I've noticed that my hair is super like dehydrated, just dry. Mm-hmm. And with Proz's custom shampoo and conditioner, they were able to formulate something to make my hair more manageable, more hydrated. And that's why it looks so shiny today. And you guys know that we both just moved. So we had to go ahead and reformulate with our brand new zip codes and
let them know what new water we have. Because, okay, Knoxville water is Knoxville water, but depending on where you're at in Knoxville, it's a little different.
Always a little different.
It's a little different.
Pros isn't just better for you, it's better for the planet. They're certified B Corp, cruelty-free, and the first and only carbon neutral custom beauty brand. Shout out Pros.
Shout out Pros. They even have a review and refine tool, which is exactly what Morgan was just talking about, where we changed our zip codes. So basically what that does is it just learns from your feedback or my feedback, and it adjusts the formula to keep up with the seasons and changes in life, such as a move, such as stress, such as being sick right now, because God knows my hair is going to fall out as soon as the sickness leaves me.
Even those early mornings, Pros still makes me feel confident when I walk out the door. Yep. Pros is so confident that you'll bring out your best hair and skin that they're offering an exclusive trial offer of 50% off your first subscription order at pros.com/CAC besties.
So get your free consultation and then 50% off at pros.com/CAC besties.
That's PROSE.com/CAC besties.
Thanks, Pros.
Thanks, Pros. We love you.
Okay, guys. So like I said, I'm going first today. This is part 2 of the Springfield 3 case. And I realize that I say Springfield like Springfield. And I apologize for the transcriptions issues that we had with that. It's definitely Springfield 3. But where we were in the case where we left off is that it's the evening of June 7th. It's been over 16 hours since Sherrill, Suzanne, and Stacy were last seen or heard from. The family members and friends had been at the house that whole day, just like waiting on them to pull up, but they never came. So they cleaned up, just waiting on them, expecting them to walk in the door at any moment. But by the time like the sun started to go down, they got that weird call. Well, Janice heard that really awful voicemail on the answering machine, and they realized that it had deleted itself, and everyone was just kind of sitting there with nothing else to do and stagnant. So like, okay, it's time to call police. Police get called in, and immediately they're concerned because I think one of the last things I said in that episode was like, one woman goes missing. That's a teenager. Okay, she's a runaway. One woman goes missing. That's a full-grown adult like Sherrill. Okay, she just needed some time. A mother and daughter, they are out of contact for a few hours a day. Pretty typical during the 90s, not a big deal. It's not like we had instant contact. Exactly. Maybe they just, had to go run a family errand or something. But then 3, and it being a mother, daughter, and then a friend, and the mother being like a really good mom and not communicating with everyone else's mom, like what the hell's going on, while she has another person's like daughter with her. That's something that Sherrill would never do. And so police are like, this is really not right. We need to jump on this immediately. And they pull up at the house and start investigating as soon as possible. For police to react like that, it tells me all that I need to know. It was serious. And that's where we left off. So it was graduation day, June 6th. The girls had gone out to some parties. Sherrill was painting on wall when she talked to her friend at 11:15 p.m. that evening. The girls left their friend Janelle's house at 2 a.m., drove over to Suzanne and Sherrill's house to spend the night because it was so crowded. And the next morning they were supposed to wake up, go back to Janelle's house, and carpool all to an hour away to that water park. They never showed up at the park or at Janelle's house, or called her best friend Nigel that lived down the road. And so everyone's at the house, they cleaned, and they realized like something's really wrong. So they call police, and that's where we left off. And it's going to pick up pretty quickly when the part 2 starts playing, because you have to remember I recorded this all the way through. So it's not like an easy transition in. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page of where we were. And if you haven't already listened to episode 191, you need to go back and listen to my part in it too, or else you're going to have no idea where we are. So if you started listening with this and you're going backwards, you're going to have to flip around. For anything else, you're good. But this one, I would go back. But all right, pass Taylar, take it away.
So finally, Janice picks up the phone, Sherrill's phone, the landline from the house, and she calls 911 reporting all 3 women missing. And I couldn't find the exact time that she called, but it's likely somewhere between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. on the night of June 7th, but no one ever says like what time that 911 call came in, which to me is a little weird. Mm-hmm. But either way, what I do know for sure is that the time that the call was placed was over 16 hours since Suzanne and Stacy were last seen leaving Janelle's house. So that means since 2 a.m. The police are immediately like, oh, what? Because, one woman that's 18 years old goes missing. She's a runaway. 2 women go missing. Something's weird, but is it a mother and a daughter? Like, are they just out of contact? Let's give them a few days. 3 women, a mother and a daughter and a friend, go missing with no plans to go missing and have no contact from anyone, just vanish into thin air in the middle of the night. Something's wrong.
Right.
They instantly were like, all right, let's get an investigation going. So by the next morning, everyone in Sherrill, Suzanne, and Stacy's lives that had seen them on the 6th and the 7th, or just were involved in anything those days, were interviewed by the detectives. And as they were getting these interviews, crime scene investigators were shutting down the home to start looking into it.
Oh, it was wiped clean.
Yep. Detectives told the friends and family that they were treating this as a missing persons case with foul play suspected from the start, due to the amount of women involved in this and the circumstances surrounding their last known movements. And though there did not seem to be any signs of a struggle in the house, according to anyone that was in the house that day, despite the broken glass, investigators couldn't really say anything for sure when it came to the house, because the crime scene had literally been fucking deep cleaned by people who really did.
Yep.
They thought they were doing a nice thing. It fucking sucks because it's so sad. Like I wouldn't know how to. Right. I don't know. The only thing that authorities could say was that the broken glass on the front porch was the only thing that would slightly indicate that there was a struggle or foul play. But outside of that, like, there were some small things, such as Sherrill's reading glasses and book were kind of like tossed onto her nightstand, indicating that she might have been interrupted in the middle of reading a book sometime either in the morning or in the night, but they couldn't tell. And the shades in Suzanne's room on her windows were like pulled apart as if someone had been like looking outside of the house. But they ruled out robbery as a motive because all the women's wallets were untouched in their purses. And Sherrill had $900 in cash in her purse.
Oh, shit.
From work. And investigators then conducted an extensive search around the house, in the neighborhood, interviewing any and everyone that they could. But unfortunately, there was nothing. They did not find any other clues, leads, evidence, nothing.
It's crazy.
Because of the times, one thing that caught their eye as a potential motive or clue was something that they found in Suzanne's room, and that was satanic books.
Of course.
Of course. And when friends and family were asked about this side of Suzanne's life, everyone immediately pointed at her ex-boyfriend, the bad boy.
Oh, shit.
I just want you to, what is like the most typical bad boyfriend name that you could think of from like Nickelodeon, Disney?
Drake.
Dusty.
You're right.
His name's Dustin, but he went by Dusty to like have his bad boy street
Drake
cred.
Bell. I'm like, Drake.
Nope, Dusty. Close.
Dustin, you're right. Dustin was the bad boy.
Dustin, but it goes by Dusty for street cred, you know? Mm-hmm. So investigators are like, oh shit, because they recognize this kid's name because he had recently been arrested and charged with two of his best friends for grave robbing.
Sorry?
Grave robbing.
Dusty.
Such a Dusty thing to do, bro.
Who does that? Like, for why?
Who the fuck? So only people named Dusty. I swear to God. Who's name? I don't think I've ever heard of a Morgan going grave robbing.
I feel so bad for Dustin on Stranger Things right now. Like, I feel like he's like getting like attacked.
No, not Dustin. Dusty.
So they call him Dusty on Stranger Things?
I don't think they call him Dusty. Do they call him Dusty?
I don't know.
I was actually
Is that even his name? I don't know.
Did you know there's one more season?
No.
Yeah.
Oh wait, yes, I did.
I knew, but I forgot, and then I thought it was
When's
new
it come
news.
Out?
Like not this summer, next summer.
Oh, well.
For like forever from now. But so I just learning it. I was like, I need to rewatch. Like I'm gonna have to rewatch and do a whole binge.
Yeah, I will next winter.
Yeah, whenever we can set it up to where it's like flows well into it. That's what I want to happen. Beside the point,
Dusty's
grave robber. So that happened just like a few months prior to the women going missing. So Dusty and his two friends broke into a mausoleum and stole the gold fillings from skulls.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And after they were caught, Suzanne actually gave statements to police about the break-in. And some people actually say that she actually was the one that reported them because the second that she learned of what happened, or possibly was in the car when they went to do this that night, so she witnessed it, she was so disgusted that she immediately broke up with Dusty. She was like, I don't even know how to process what the fuck just happened.
Like, why did you just do that?
We're done. And a few weeks or months from the time that she went missing, she was allegedly scheduled to testify in court against Dusty and his two friends for the grave robbing incident.
Okay. Well, so hopefully that doesn't cost the lives of 3 people, Dusty.
Right. Immediately after putting these pieces together, investigators are like, holy shit, Dusty and his two besties are out on bond. So they're like, we got to find them right now. Well, they find out from chatting with like people in town that Dusty and his buddies were actually seen out that night, specifically around midnight on East Delmar Street. Police find them, they interrogate the hell out of these 3 guys, and all 3 deny having any and all involvement in this case at all, even though they are the only people that police could think of at the time that would have direct motive and immediate motive for wanting to make Suzanne disappear. And police end up being forced to let them go because they had absolutely no evidence in the case at all to even remotely trying to keep them on. And at this point, 2 weeks had gone by with still no sign of the women, and police virtually running out of leads left and right because they have nothing to hold anyone that they even suspect. And that's when they got a call. It was from a woman that lived like 2 miles down East Delmar Street from Sherrill's house. She was like this older woman that was known for always being outside, sitting in her favorite chair on her front porch, just watching. She knew everything about everyone in the neighborhood because she saw it, she heard it, she witnessed it all. So she calls into police 2 weeks after their disappearance and says that she believes that she saw Suzanne in the afternoon of June 7th before she was reported missing. The old woman explained that she was sitting out on her front porch as she typically did when she spotted this large moss avocado green colored van coming down the road. Now, this caught her eye because she never has ever seen this car, and she knew every single one of the cars that went up and down that street regularly. So she was like, I would have noticed this unique color if it drove past here. Like, I wouldn't have forgotten this. So she's like honing in on this van by the time it's coming up to her house and passing by her. She sees in the driver's seat, which was closest to her view, a young girl with short blonde hair driving. And according to the woman, the girl that she now believes to be Suzanne was, quote, visibly scared, terrified, and upset. Because from either the front seat or the back seat, like the passenger seat or the back seat that the woman couldn't see, she could hear a male's voice screaming, keep driving. Don't do anything stupid, and like a harsh, loud barking sort of tone at the girl. Now, the reason that the older woman did not report this earlier is because she had never seen a photo of Suzanne until that day, like when she came across it, like someone gave her a flyer or something. So when she saw that flyer, she was like, oh my God, Suzanne's the girl from the van. That's who I saw in the van. She picks up the phone and she calls Springfield Police. Investigators asked the woman for like every single detail that she could possibly remember about that van, and her description of it I found from the Charlie Project website on the case, and she said that it was an older model Dodge panel van in a moss green or avocado green color. Upon getting this call, police immediately began looking into any van that matched this description that was registered in the area. They were stopping similar looking vans on the road. They were putting out bolos for other departments and the public to be on the lookout, and they even went as far as buying a van that matched the description to a T and placing it in front of their station with a huge sign that says, have you seen this van?
Wow.
From this, police got several calls and tips about possible sightings, many of which were reporting seeing the van in different areas around town in real time. So like after they went missing. But a few other ones were like prior or like before this van was involved in the investigation. And one of these witnesses was a man that saw the specific van that the woman saw sitting outside of a local grocery store later that day on June 7th. He didn't know anything, like obviously he didn't know anything about the van being missing or being a part of, not being missing, being a part of the investigation at that time. But he said there was just like something about it that just didn't sit right with him when he saw it there. It just looked wildly out of place, and it looked like there was this blonde young woman sitting in the driver's seat nervously looking around. So from his car across the parking lot, he pulls out his newspaper and he writes down the license plate number of this van.
Wow.
But by the time police put the bolo out 2 weeks after the disappearance, so 2 weeks after he saw this and opened up the tip line for it, he somehow had misplaced or accidentally thrown that newspaper away. So again, investigators are at this like standstill. Yet they pursued every single tip and loose lead that they got in hopes of just finding something. Anything. But as days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months, the case that is now referred to as the Springfield Three went cold. All that investigators could theorize about the suspect and their motives were that someone in the house was being targeted for some reason. It was likely that knew their attacker or were lured to the front door outside of the house sometime in between 2:30 a.m. and 8 a.m. because there was not like any signs of a forced entry, like I said, or like a struggle taking place inside the home. They believe that it was likely only one person that did this, so like a really big and strong man that had some sort of like military tactical training in order to take down 3 women and get all 3 of them plus himself in and out so swiftly and secretively that no one heard anything at all. And they were like, well, what about the TV? Like, why would the TV be on? Do we think that they weren't in bed, that instead they were on the couch? And police are like, actually, what if he turned on the TV to drown out any noise that could have been made? But they knew that no one had been killed at the scene. Like, there was, well, they don't know for sure because it had been cleaned up, but like everyone that was in the house,
evidence of that.
Yeah, there's no blood or anything. And investigators were just like, it's not likely that this was whoever did this first ever crime, kidnap, abduction, but if it was, it definitely will not be their last. So whoever did this, we need to find them. Investigators alongside the women's families and friends were desperate to keep Suzanne, Stacy, and Sherrill's names in the public eye, which is how they were able to get the women's case featured on an episode of America's Most Wanted in December of 1992, so just like 6 months after they went missing. And after that episode went out, a call came into the America's Most Wanted hotline from a man on December 31st, 1992, where he claimed to have important information about the Springfield Three case. Now, it is not known exactly what he said, as it's never been released to the public, but whatever it was prompted the switchboard operator to immediately transfer his call to the Springfield police. Unfortunately, though, in the process of reconnecting the line, it was disconnected.
So the guy hung up, or
no one knows if the man hung up on his own or if it was like the doing of the switchboard operator, but the man never called back despite many a public plea from America's Most Wanted and Springfield police. But there was no way that they could trace the call. He never called back. And I don't know if I said this earlier, but they also couldn't trace those obscene sexual innuendos or like even get what number called. So I don't know if they had phone records in this area at the time. But either way, profilers believe that this man that called in was involved in the case and likely panicked when he realized that he was being transferred to local investigators, which indicates to me at least that investigators or whoever was going to answer the phone at the police station or whoever he was going to talk to would be able to recognize his voice possibly. And I'm not sure about that. It's just a theory of mine. But this was yet again another punch in the gut for investigators because they're like so excited about this lead and expecting whoever this is to call back. And then they're realizing like, oh shit, right, he's like taunting us. It's in either 1996 or 1997, reports differ on this, when a journalist is doing a interview with an imprisoned convicted kidnapper and robber in Texas. And during this interview, which was supposed to be about a completely separate case from even the Texas case, not to mention the Missouri case, but instead one from Florida that took place in 1978 where a 19-year-old girl was murdered. And the man that she's interviewing just randomly starts talking about the Springfield Three. He says he knew them. He knew that they had been murdered. He knew where they were buried. And he knew that their bodies would never be recovered.
Wow. But it wasn't him? He didn't admit?
No, he admitted to it.
Oh, okay.
That was him admitting to it. And this man was highly trained and skilled U.S. Army Ranger veteran Robert Craig Cox. And that Florida case that he was being interviewed about was from December of 1978, where 19-year-old Sharon Zellers, who was a Disney World employee, left her shift in the park and headed home, but she never arrived. Her car was found a few weeks later abandoned in an orange grove, and the next day, during a search of the area, Sharon's body was found fully submerged in a sewage lift station a few miles away from her car. Her body was so decomposed that they had to use dental records to identify her, and an autopsy showed that she had died from blunt force trauma after being bludgeoned 14 times in the head. Well, they start looking for leads as to who could have done this, and they immediately pick up on a 19-year-old named Robert Craig Cox, who was in the area on vacation with his family. In the night of her disappearance, he had stumbled back into his family's hotel room in the middle of the night, bleeding profusely, missing the tip of his tongue, about to pass out. His parents rush him to the emergency room. Police are called because they're like, our son's been attacked. Robert gives a statement saying, quote, he was punched by a big black man during an altercation at the Skate World skating rink with 4 white men and 4 black men. And he claims that he was able to reach his car from to get away from everyone, the fight, and try and drive home. But he was so disoriented from getting hit in the head that he got lost and ended up somehow back at the skate world and went inside and asked for a stranger to give him a ride to his hotel, which the stranger agreed to and did, and dropped him off. And that's when he stumbled into his family's hotel room. But when investigators are like, all right, well, this is simple. Let's go to your car. Let's go get your car. There's no blood in the car. Not a single drop of blood in the car. And this guy's literally bleeding profusely. Impossible. Well, inside Sharon's car, they found 3 male hairs that matched Robert Craig Cox perfectly. But again, that's not a reliable source. And it definitely wasn't in 1992, or I'm sorry, in 1978. It wasn't one that was like solid. But they also found bloody military boot footprints in her car, which is what he was wearing, and he had blood on the bottom of his shoes, his military boots, when he was taken to the hospital that night. And they found type O blood, which didn't match the victim, but it did match Cox. So they arrested him, they take him to court. He's found guilty. He's sentenced to death in 1988. However, because it was all circumstantial evidence, when they appealed to the Florida Supreme Court, they threw out the conviction and released him in 1991, possibly. So when the journalist that's interviewing Robert Craig Cox hears what the fuck he's saying about the Springfield Three, she calls the Springfield Police Department and is like, look into this. So they pull his records, only to find that in 1992, Robert Craig Cox, after being released from prison and getting his shit overruled in Florida, moves to Springfield, Missouri with his brother, and even was here for so long that he had a long-term girlfriend here. And some reports actually suggest that he even worked in a factory while living in Springfield with one of the victim's family members on the same like line. And I tell you all of this to explain that he was there for and like kind of solid in the community for a few years prior and a few years after the disappearances of the women. And actually, police knew this already and had a file on him in connection to the Springfield Three case because he was questioned back in 1992 when they went missing because of his record or something or another. Bear with me through this because there's like 30 different variations of this story that are reported. So I'm just giving you like the consensus of all. But either way, they questioned him back in 1992 and he gave them an alibi. So according to Cox, quote, he and his girlfriend went to church on the morning of June 7th at 8 a.m. and the night before, June 6th, he was with his girlfriend at a bar or something, but they were in bed by midnight, end quote. So police are like, cool, do you think your girlfriend can corroborate that for you? And he's like, yeah, cool. So they bring her in separately, like without letting them talk, and she confirms the story.
And this is years later.
This is in 1996 or 7, and this was in 1992 that they had interviewed him. And so because the girlfriend confirmed his story, he was cleared as a person of interest. And that was that. It's not said anywhere that is super reliable exactly when he moved away from Springfield, but what we do know is in 1995, he was in Decatur, Texas. You guys might call it Decatur?
Decatur, Texas.
Who knows?
Why are we running into so many Decaturs?
I don't know. We just keep running into Decaturs recently. So they know that he was in Decatur, Texas in 1995 because he committed an armed robbery where he held a 12-year-old little girl at gunpoint.
What?
That's what he was sentenced for and serving in Texas at that time.
When he was being interviewed.
And to this day, he's not eligible for parole until 2025.
Holy crap. What kind of car did he drive?
Right. Well, the first thing that police did after this woman the journalist reached out to them was turn around and go figure out where the hell his now ex-girlfriend is. That confirmed his alibi way back in the day. So she agrees to come in and be interviewed, and she straight up is like, yeah, I don't know what he was doing that night. We did not go to church.
Like at all? Like
yeah,
in general?
like I lied. I don't know what was going on. So next, investigators went down to Texas to go interview him in person and interrogate him. And he says that he refuses to talk until his mother dies. And I don't know if she's dead yet because I couldn't find any updates on that.
So case cold, he's not talking until she's dead.
Yep.
Wow.
And they can't force him to talk. There's nothing. Even other than the fact that he literally confessed.
What the fuck?
Other than that, the only big lead came in 2006 or 2007 when a really well-known crime reporter or journalist named Kathy Baird, who was/is obsessed with the case, got wind of a new tip that had come into the Greene County prosecutor's office about the Springfield Three, and it was from a person that claimed to be a psychic, and they said that they either had a dream or saw a vision indicating that the women were possibly buried underneath the Cox Hospital parking garage. Interesting. And this parking garage had actually not began its construction until September of 1993. So it's unlikely that they wouldn't have unearthed some remains if that was the case. So police didn't take this super seriously. But Kathy was like, this is the one. And so she hires a man named Rick Norland, who is a mechanical engineer, to scan the corners of that the psychic had indicated about of the parking garage using ground penetrating radar. So he does this, and during so, he was able to identify 3 anomalies in the soil that were, quote, roughly the same size and horizontal. He said that this eerily matched up, like the only time he had ever seen this with this device was when he was using it in graveyards.
But they haven't dug it up.
So Kathy has many a times petitioned to have these anomalies unearthed, but it's virtually impossible to do without having to implode it and tear it all down, which then it might get lost in the rubble. It's virtually impossible, and it would be so expensive. Plus, like, no one's going to approve that just based off of what a psychic says and some anomalies that could be from years and years and years and years ago if they weren't unearthed when they were excavating. But it's never happened, and many people think it's bullshit. I don't know where I stand on it. I think the coincidences are weird in it, and you guys know I am into that shit, but I don't know that I would take it as far as getting the permits to blow down a fucking hospital's parking garage. It's like if we went to UT Med and we're like,
well, good thing about hospitals is that they're always renovating.
Right.
And that parking garage will one day be taken down to build a new building and moving the parking garage way further away.
And so I'm sure that's probably kind of what they're waiting on.
Yeah.
Now, the only other prominent theory in this case revolves around Sherrill and Suzanne's family, but it's been ruled kind of like the most unlikely scenario and more so like a true crime theorist type of scenario. And according to the detectives, everything has been investigated and cleared by them, but I do want to share it just for transparency. So the short version of it is that Suzanne has an older brother named Brett Streeter, and he was like a lot older than her. And he has this like really sketchy background and relationship with his mom and sister. Because of this, he was a suspect initially in the case, but later ruled out. But I'll tell you what the long version is. And first, I need to give you some backstory. So I'm going to read this excerpt from the Charlie Project website. It says, quote, Sherrill's background was investigated as other leads proved futile. Sherrill divorced her first husband, Brent Streeter, who is Bart and Suzanne's dad, shortly after Suzanne was born. She told friends that Brent believed that they should just get a divorce but continue living together, but Sherrill decided that she didn't want to do that, so they cut ties completely. She moved into an apartment complex in Seattle where she stayed with Suzanne and Bart for 6 months after Suzanne's birth. She received free rent while performing repair work on the complex. She and Suzanne then relocated to Springfield in 1980 from Seattle, Washington, and some reports say that Bart did move with them, but others say that he actually stayed with his father. We don't know. Maybe he was like an adult at the time and was living on his own. But either way, what we do know is that he did become estranged from both Sherrill and Suzanne due to his alcohol abuse and violent outbursts around this time. So Sherrill gets married. Either that's why they moved to Springfield or like right after she got to Springfield. So around the early 80s. But by 1989, she divorced from her second husband named Don Levitt, and this impacted her finances badly, and it forced her to relocate to a smaller residence with Suzanne, which is when they moved into their house on East Del Mar Street in April of 1992. Again, some reports say February, and that was just a few months before their disappearance. Dawn's creditors, so her second ex-husband, Dawn's creditors began asking Sherrill to pay his debts after their divorce, so around the time that they had moved into this house, and was like trying to send her to collections and shit. So she hired this attorney and was trying to track Dawn down, but no one ever found him.
That's weird.
Okay, so that's like a little bit of the backstory. Well, because I also couldn't find great sources for the full story about Bart's situation and his background, I'm going to read you an excerpt from a Reddit thread that is the best detail I've ever found, and I just couldn't reword it another way. Like, it needs to just be said in a quote. So this is from the Reddit thread Unsolved Mysteries, and the poster was user Forest of Illusion, and it was posted 1 year ago. And the title of it is Hunting for the Culprit Behind the Disappearance of the Springfield Three. Quote, another suspect that is continually brought up in this case is Bart Streeter, Susie's older brother and Sherrill's son. You won't find any information on Bart as a suspect on the Streeter family blog, After all, it used to be run by him and is now maintained by his daughter. Personally, I don't find Bart to be an over-compelling suspect. However, I do think he's worth examining for several reasons. First and foremost, a high percentage of abductions/murders are committed by immediate family members. Of the immediate family members of the victims, Bart is the one with the weakest of alibis, most troubled relationship with at least one of the victims, and has the most concerning past. None of these traits mean that Bart committed this crime, but in my opinion, they do warrant further investigation of him as a suspect. Bart was estranged from both his mother, Sherrill, and his sister, Susie, at the time of their disappearances. They had a troubled relationship in part because of Bart's problematic relationship with alcohol. On the night in question, Bart told police that he drank and then he passed out at his home by himself. So since he lived alone by himself, there was no one there to verify his alibi. Despite these factors, which are admittedly quite troubling, Bart has always cooperated fully with Springfield police investigations. Additionally, he took a polygraph shortly after the women's disappearance and passed with flying colors. While polygraphs are highly unreliable, his willingness to take one and his full cooperation with the police are both encouraging signs. Bart Streeter, however, has a worrisome past, one that keeps him as a person of interest in the case, and makes people wonder whether he would have been capable of making his mother, his sister, and her friends suddenly disappear. Back in 2000, Streeter was investigated in relation to a kidnapping and coercion case in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, I could find little information regarding what actually happened in this case, and it appears that Bart was not formally tried. In 2019, Streeter found himself in trouble with law enforcement once again, and he was arrested in Smyrna, Tennessee, which is where my uncle and family lives, on suspicion of public intoxication, disorderly conduct, and quote, attempted false imprisonment. Police said that Streeter entered a nail salon in Smyrna claiming to be the grandfather of a 15-year-old girl who he did. I remember this. Streeter said that he entered a nail salon in Smyrna claiming to be the grandfather of a 15-year-old girl who did not recognize him and thus refused to leave with him. The Streeter family pushed back against the police's version of these events with a statement that reads, quote, in 1992, 2 women were stolen from our lives. We have struggled for over 26 years with the public's perception of what happened to them and how to mourn them in our personal lives. Recently, it has been publicized that Bart Streeter, son of Sherrill and brother of Susie, was arrested on unrelated charges. Bart has had a long history with alcohol abuse and has spoken publicly on this matter in the past. It is evident in the video that he at no time tried to forcibly remove anyone from the establishment. The charges were exaggerated, as it is plainly evident in the video. It is unsure how the story got so corrupted when it was told to the media and police, or why the media ignored the obvious video evidence in its reporting. The impact of the misreporting is felt by the Streeter family and extended family members as we continue to mourn our family and hope for answers. We are still experiencing pain. Our family members are missing, along with Stacy McCall. We still want and need answers. Please remember them and help in any way you can in finding them by reporting any information that may be helpful to the Springfield Police Department. Bart Streeter, as always, continues to be the main contact for the Springfield Police, the Streeter family. Okay, still continuing the quote. Regardless of what did or didn't happen at the nail salon, this behavior is certainly startling. Is Bart Streeter simply a man with horrible addiction issues that were exaggerated by the disappearance of his close family, or is he a criminal with secrets that he's held close to his chest for over 30 years now? I lean towards the former, though I must admit that Bart's own actions rarely seem to help in this case. The main reason that I don't think Bart Streeter was the culprit in the disappearance of the Springfield Three is simple. Bart Streeter is not a criminal mastermind. In fact, he seems to be quite sloppy. Bart's previous run-ins with law enforcement occurred when he was intoxicated and when apparently his decision-making abilities were impaired. This does not mean that he could not have done something to his mother and sister in such a state, but as he was and is an addict, I have to imagine that he would have been drinking that night, and I just can't imagine him leaving such a pristine crime scene if he was truly so inebriated. In my mind, this makes it seem rather unlikely that Bart Streeter was behind the abductions of the Springfield Three, but as in the case of Robert Craig Cox, I can't completely rule him out. End quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was him.
You don't think it was Bart? Me either. Every reason.
Are those all the theories?
There's a lot more suspects.
So does Sherrill have any boyfriends?
Nope.
At this time?
Not that anyone knew
that
about.
She was dating?
Not that.
That's what I feel like.
She was a really private person, though.
I feel like this is just like what like my guy is saying. I don't know. My guy was anyway. I feel like Sherrill was having somebody over, or like an acquaintance or a friend came, and they were eating dinner, and that's why what Southern woman doesn't do the dishes at night?
Right.
And because the girls weren't supposed to be there.
But
so
she was on the phone
target
at 11:15 though, with her friend painting an armoire by herself. But someone could have stopped by like later that night. Like she could have just been having like a one night stand with someone.
And she didn't know the girls were coming either.
No, she didn't know.
So I think she was a target, and I don't know, I feel like they were drugged. Like there's no way one person could have gotten them out.
And why would their purses be lined up?
And I feel like the porch light was broken because they were like, I need to get this fucking light off, and they just smashed it with a broom hoping that it would shut the light bulb, but they missed, and they were like, fuck it, I gotta go.
I can't make another loud sound. Like I gotta keep going. Let me find this because I forgot to write it down, but the Charlie Project has on their website what the main theory police have as to what happened that night and what the movements would have been. But before I do, there are several other theorized suspects that you can read about, and I will link that Reddit thread that I would just read to you below, because I mean there's a lot more listed on there with the pros and cons list, just like I just read to you. But to this day the case remains cold despite the fact that 5,200 tips have been logged in connection to the Springfield Three case. Hundreds of polygraphs and interrogations have been administered to persons of interest or suspects. They have followed leads in 21 different states and extensively searched all of the woods and fields throughout the Ozarks that they could, with no sign of the women.
This is near the Ozarks.
It is the Ozarks.
This is the Ozarks.
Yep.
Okay.
If you or anyone you know has information about the case of Suzanne Streeter, Stacy McCall, or Sherrill Levitt, please call the Springfield Police Department at 417-864-1810. And to see the photos and descriptions of the women, including age progressed photos, please go to our Instagram, which is Creeps and Crimes Podcast. And if you're in the area, live in the area, know people from the area, or just want to help out, I think we need to share their missing flyers post. So just literally go to that page, swipe 3 times and it'll be there. Share it on your story, and just like, I just feel like this is a solvable case, even though there's not evidence. But like, I feel like with technology now that there's something that could be done. But let me read what investigators think happened. Do you have any opinion? Or
no, that was my opinion. I think Mama was a target.
Yeah.
And what did she do for work? She had $900.
She was a hairstylist.
Okay. So she sees a lot of clientele.
Yeah, I actually have how many clients she has right here. Sherrill was employed at New Attitudes Hair Salon on West Sunshine Street in Springfield, and she had over 250 clients at the time of her disappearance and was considered a model employee. One of the original investigators theorized that the women's assailant took Cinnamon, the dog, out of the house or out of the yard. Like maybe Cinnamon was outside because she could go in. There was a doggy door. That's what it was. There was a doggy door. So they think that someone was sitting outside, lured Cinnamon out, and then got her out of the back fence, walked up to the front door, knocked on the door sometime after 2:30 a.m. in the early morning hours of June 7th, was acting like, oh, I found your dog, like da-da-da-da. So when Sherrill or Suzanne or whoever opened the door, the man then overpowered the women, got Cinnamon back in the house, and maybe that's why Cinnamon was so shook up, because she was kind of tossed around in it. Sherrill's background was investigated because of that, because like, why would someone come in and just like walk in and do that? But there was like nothing. They couldn't find any. Like I said, she was like a really private woman.
Whoever the caller is.
That caller. So it has to be. And I wonder if the people that lived at the house prior, that she had bought it from just a few months prior, like had these prank calls.
Right.
Or if this had followed them from like states or houses or apartments. Like, was this something that only started there? And did it happen to the people that lived there prior? The fact that this case is it seems unsolvable at the moment, but I think that there could be something in it. Like, if someone knows something.
Right.
Point blank, period. Someone knows something somewhere. I think if people started talking about this case again and it got like top, like Gabby Petito level, not fame, attention from the media and the public, something would come of it.
Yeah. But I also think that the serial kidnapper or murderer did it.
I think that this is just my own personal theory. I didn't look and see if it lines up or how it would line up, but like, it's giving Israel Keys, you know? So
it's very sad.
Yeah. Very sad.
And they're stunning women.
Gorgeous.
Stunning.
Well, that was my case, and really sad. like I said,
Tragic.
I really do think that this could be a case that someone knows something in and something could potentially come from it eventually.
I actually feel like out of all the cases that you cover, all of the unsolved cases, like this one, I just know we're gonna get that headliner one day.
Yeah,
solved,
because there's
or
got to be
found.
something like, or maybe they really did run away. Maybe they're a witness. Who knows? You know, like who knows what happened? And I find it so weird that exactly what like the investigator said, like it would have had to have been like military tactical precision for someone to get themselves in and then get 3 women out without causing a ruckus, without waking people up. I mean, you saw the pictures, you guys, if you haven't already, they're on our Instagram. You've seen the pictures of how close this house was to other houses. They're right on top of each other, front, back, side to side. And then you have the mama who was sitting out on her front porch and she sees everything, saw everything 2 miles down the road. And I don't think that that van was a red herring at all, because why would police have put so much effort into it? I think that it was just a little too late by the time they got the tip, and that van and the girls were long gone. Whether that was at their own will, which I don't think it would have been.
Yeah, me neither.
I think that they were
taken. The mannerism that she had while she was driving.
Yeah,
like that doesn't
crying,
sound like they were
the man in the back, like
doing this
screaming.
out their own free will.
Yeah, it's just not right. But that's my case. And Morgan, before you get started on yours, to tell you something about me right now, because everyone knows that I'm sick and I need to apologize to you formally because I ran out of my Lumi deodorant.
Oh no.
And so I smell like a walking BO sickly girl.
Oh, and the sick smell just gets me. And no one else I don't think can smell when you're sick.
I know.
But for some reason
it
settles into your own nose and you're like, oh wow, I really
And
stink.
I can smell when Logan's sick, like now, because I've just, lived with him for so long, but I can like smell when he's sick. And I'm like, go get in the shower.
Where's your Lumi stick?
Where's your Lumi stick?
Whole body, please.
Whole body deodorant right now.
Lumi is a whole body deodorant that is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Your pits, your under boob, your thigh folds, your belly buttons, your butt cracks, your vulvas, and your feet.
Yep.
So when you're sick, lather on up. It was created by an OBGYN who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. When I was home this weekend, I walk into my mother's bathroom and I see that Miss Girl has got a full little Lumi set up on her little dresser vanity stand.
Yes, ma'am, Beth Ann.
All set up. And I'm like, Mom, with the Lumi sleigh. She's like, I love it.
Yeah, she's
like, I put it on my feet.
Well, she works out all the time. Like, I'm sure that those like whole body deodorant wipes, like if she's in the middle of the day, she wants to go do a CrossFit class, she wipes herself down, goes back to work.
Them.
Yeah.
She's like, I used to throw out shoes because my feet stunk so bad. They were ruining my shoes. She goes, I lather up with Lumi.
The other day, I was really, really, really needing to just leave the house. And you know me, like sometimes if I feel a little too sticky, because I'm an oily girl, can't leave the house, but I had no time to shower. I ran upstairs, went to my little arsenal of Lumi, got my whole body deodorant wipes, did a full freaking wipe down before I left the house, went and ran my errands, came back, then took a long shower with my Lumi body wash. Don't forget, because I'm in love with the tangerine one right now.
Lumi is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. It's unlike certain traditional deodorants that try to mask odor with a fragrance. Lumi is formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. So it's more like a pre-odorant.
Oh, pre-odorant. It's baking soda free and paraben free, pH balance for safe use below the belt, and you can choose a variety of fresh, bright scents like clean tangerine, that was the one I was just talking about, lavender sage, one of my top faves, okay, of all time, or toasted coconut. I haven't tried it yet, but Nikki's mom is obsessed with toasted coconut.
She's a coconut girl.
I'm excited to try it.
Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like the mini body wash that Taylar was talking about, or the deodorant wipes that my mama uses, and free shipping.
As a special offer for our listeners only, our besties, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine that 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. So you can use code Creeps and Crimes for 15% off of your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com.
That's code Creeps and Crimes at LumiDeodorant.com. Thanks, Lumi.
Thanks, Lumi.
Thanks for keeping us smelling fresh.
Smelling fresh. So good. So clean. Okay, Morgie. Stacy, what do you have for us today?
So today I'm going to be telling you about a famous Chinese urban legend.
Okay.
It's called the Midnight Bus 375 or the Beijing Ghost Bus.
Oh, okay.
And this reminds me a lot of a story about a carriage that we talked about. And I think you've talked about it. Actually, for some reason, I just remember you telling me the story. Anyway, this is on Creepypasta, but it's a legend from like the 1990s, like and maybe even beyond that.
Yeah.
That is still told today. So I think the creepypasta was kind of like an aftermath of like someone just like jotting down something that their parents told them.
Yeah, like
it wasn't birthed on creepy. It was
like recorded on Creepypasta.
Correct.
So it was like a folklore, a legend that was recorded on there.
Yes. So like if you look it up, you're gonna see creepypasta, and I mean regardless, it is an urban legend. So
have you ever thought? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I want to chat for a second. Have you ever thought about like how crazy lore is and like how it's truly just a massive game of telephone?
Yeah, no, it is.
Like prior to that, so like when the internet was developed, it probably was like so like shit like Creepypasta was so nice because it was like, let's just go ahead and record it here.
Right.
And then it got
that way you have an
with,
original. I mean, an original at that date.
Right. Like you have like whatever the story is then recorded up until that point. Now, of course, there was like books and shit, but like, you know, what I mean is like same. On the supersonic internet highway.
Right. I'm with you. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it is just an urban legend, meaning there is no scientific evidence to support this story's validity, but it's a pretty cool story nonetheless, and it's like one that like definitely scars residents of Beijing today.
Oh, yeah.
So it was November 14th, 1995, when a young man boarded the last bus that was headed towards Beijing's fragment. She literally just said to me,
yeah, I literally.
Do you have all your pronunciation?
Yep.
And this is an English word, fragrant.
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 You sure?
I'm positive. I just corrected you on it in the Lumi ad.
It's not fragrance though.
Yeah, it's fragrant.
Fragrant.
No. It's just fragrant.
All right. So the bus was heading toward Beijing's fragrant Hills, which is located in the Haidine district. It was a dark night. The weather was pretty shitty.
That's my favorite word. It's that and tomb that just, it's the only words that stump the fuck out of you.
Fragrant.
And they're like some of my faves.
I think it's because I was raised saying fragrance.
Fragrance.
What fragrance do you have on?
I literally have never in my life heard it pronounced like that. But you know what? My parents say ideal when they're saying I got a good idea.
Idea.
Yeah, they say idea and ideal.
My dad says idea.
Yeah.
So it was a dark night. The weather was really shitty. Some accounts say that it was stormy. Others say that it was just like really foggy and murky out. Now on this bus already, prior to the boy getting onto the last bus stop, was the driver, a female conductor, and I don't really know I'm assuming the conductor was just someone who was in charge of collecting tickets, like collecting your bus fare, you sitting down, you giving them the money, they give you the change, yada, yada, yada. So I'm not sure what their position is, but there were two employees on this bus.
Right.
A male driver and a female conductor. Shortly after the man boarded, a little further down the road, there was two men standing on the side, like up ahead of them on the side of the road, and they were kind of waving, like trying to get the bus to stop, like stop, like pick us up. Now, initially, the bus driver was kind of reluctant to pick them up because, well, they weren't waiting at a bus stop. Rule number one.
You got to be at a bus stop.
You got to be at a fucking bus stop.
Right.
I'm at a scheduled, strict time schedule here.
I have to time it at whatever stop I'm at.
And you're not at a bus stop, so I'm not going to stop for you. But the conductor kind of changed the driver's mind by saying like, well, you know, we are the last bus. They probably missed the bus stop or they're running behind and they clearly need to be somewhere because they're just standing on the side of the road.
Right.
So we should pick them up. So the driver stops and opens the doors, and in walks these three men who are wearing these Qing Dynasty robes.
Okay.
Now, to remind everyone, the year is 1995, and the Qing Dynasty was from the year 1644 to 1911, but the specific robes were in the era closer to like the 1700s.
Got it. Okay.
So these were old fucking like fashioned robes.
Right.
And even though they had only seen two men standing on the side of the road, there was three men that walked into the bus.
Got it.
It was described by passengers that you couldn't see the third guy because he was being like supported by the other two men. So like they kind of had their arms like up underneath of him or like on his shoulders and kind of carrying him onto the bus. And this third man was sunk over. His face was just down. He had long, messy, curly hair that kind of covered his face. Like he looked like the Grunge. sponge, but like curly male version. And passengers said that he never once lifted up his head. Now, alongside the clothes were the coloring of their faces. Passengers on the bus said that their faces were much whiter than a normal person's, almost like ghostly white, like deathly white.
Can I like not say got it? Like got it. For the 1500th time.
Got it.
I promise I won't say it again. So they were like ghostly white. Like
yes. And I skipped a line up ahead because I'm like realizing that this isn't making sense. So the boy got on the bus stop, the last bus stop. Yeah. On the bus already was an older woman and then a young couple.
Okay, got it.
And then the driver and the conductor. And I skipped over that. Yeah, so got it.
Yeah.
So now on the bus is the couple, an older lady, a young boy or a young man. He's like in his 20s probably. I'm just going to keep calling him boy because I did it throughout my notes the entire time. And he's not a fucking kid.
Yeah.
And I even say young kid sometimes.
We called the boys.
The driver, conductor, and then these three guys dressed in these Qing dynasty robes in almost the year 2000.
And the guy in the middle that's being held up definitely looks like he has scurvy or something.
Exactly.
With his curly hair, yeah.
Exactly. So on top of that, they're pale faces, their weird clothes. They also didn't interact with anybody on the bus. They didn't thank the driver for letting them on. Like, hey, thanks for stopping and picking us up on the side of the road. They didn't say where they're headed. Like they didn't talk at all. They didn't say anything to the conductor. They just paid their way. Conductor let them through and they sat down. They didn't even like, eyebrow hello, like, hello everybody on the bus, like
thank you so much for stopping. And I feel like that's kind of like out of cultural norm,
right? For sure,
to not like share thanks for stopping.
For sure. They had just kept walking and they walked all the way to the back of the bus where they sat down. At this time, a lot of the passengers were kind of feeling uneasy with the entire situation. They had just had a really bad like gut feeling about what was going on. Specifically, the older woman who was already on the bus prior to the last stop.
Right.
She had actually gotten up, said something to the female conductor about how odd these three men in the back of the bus were. Yeah. And the conductor was kind of like trying to cool things over by telling her, well, they're probably just like actors, or like they're not actors, but like they're in a play and they had no time to change costumes before leaving work.
They could have been at a ceremony.
They could, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that resonated with the old woman, and a lot of the other passengers. So they were like, well, yeah, okay, well, you're right. We'll just relax. Like, it's not that weird. I mean, it's weird, but it's not.
They could have been at a reenactment.
Could be weirder.
Yeah.
Slowly, the bus began stopping, stop after stop, emptying out with the passengers one by one, until there was only the older woman, the young man at the beginning of the story, the driver, and the conductor left. Meaning on this bus was the four of them and the three mystery men in the robes in the back. The old lady was still very uneasy about the entire situation. She kept looking back, glancing at them, constantly checking her six, like kept taking a peekaboo.
Yeah.
Back at like
feeling their energy.
Yeah, she's still freaked out. And the entire bus ride, she said, was just eerie altogether. It was almost silent. All you could hear was the wind outside of the bus. And out of nowhere, the old lady jumps up on her feet and she hits the young guy that is sitting in front of her. And she starts screaming. Like, she's causing a huge scene, being a total Karen. And she's telling everyone, he stole my purse. He stole my purse.
What?
And the young guy is like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't have your fucking, I'm sitting here minding my business. I don't have your purse. Like, no, someone, it's so quiet, someone would have heard me steal your purse. I don't have your fucking purse. And she's like standing up, and now they're both standing up, and he's arguing back with her, and she grabs him by the collar. And she says to the driver, you need to pull over at the next bus station. He needs to go to the police station. He has my fucking purse. Like, freaking out about her purse. And this young guy is like, I didn't fucking do anything, and I'm definitely not getting off the bus with you.
Right. Like, you're the only one who had.
Is that not your purse sitting right there? I don't look at me.
Yeah. Like where would I hide it?
Where are the hiding places?
Did you see me get up and move?
Right. So he's screaming. He's like, this isn't my stop. And she really wasn't taking no for an answer. So once the bus comes to the next bus stop, she drags him out by his collar, and they stood there on the side of the road and watched as the bus drove away from them.
So the old woman and the young guy.
The old woman and the young guy. And he's really fucking pissed off because, one, that wasn't his stop.
That's the last bus.
But also he's concerned because, yeah, that was the last bus. He's also concerned because she's trying to take him to the police station, and like, he didn't do anything. But once they got off the bus, she just kind of breathed like this, like, like sigh of relief. Like, she was like, thank God. And he's like, all right, well, you got me off here. Where the fuck's the police station? Like, let's go. I didn't steal shit. Like,
right. Like,
let's go
look
talk.
At your purse on your arm.
Let's go figure this out. You want to get me off the bus? And she says to him, there is no police station. I just saved your life.
Mama, what?
Mama, what's going on?
Mima, explain yourself.
Now, he's kind of panicked because now he's on the side of the road in the middle of the night at a bus stop in the middle of nowhere with some older lady who just drug him off and is now telling him that she just saved his life.
Like, you're crazy.
So exactly. So he's like, well, how did you save my life?
Yeah, spill.
Tell me more, please.
Right.
And this is when she tells him that those 3 mystery men in the back were not alive. They were 3 dead men, 3 ghosts. She says, quote, ever since they got on the bus, I had my doubts about them. So I kept looking back at them. And it just so happened that there was wind blowing through the window. And that's when I saw everything. It lifted those long robes and I saw that they had no legs. And so this guy's kind of just like staring at her. Like, he's shocked, he's sweating, can't seem to form any words because she either did just save his life or he really is stuck on the side of the road with a fucking crazy person.
With a crazy person, yeah.
Telling him now that she just saw ghosts and they were going to kill him.
Yeah.
But his fear is kind of put away when she's like, okay, you don't have to believe me, but I'm going to call the police and I'm going to tell them what I had just seen. And she does. This is when he's like, all right, well, I'm all right with the situation because you're clearly not trying to hurt me.
Right.
You're calling the police so now they can see how crazy you are. But at the same time,
and you're no longer accusing
he starts to think, and he's like, you know, it was really weird and they were wearing these like really old clothes and you know I'm gonna back her up on this.
Right.
Like I agree. Like I didn't see the ghost thing, but I agree that the situation in whole was weird. So they talk to the police and the police are on the same kind of thought train that I think everyone was, that she was just insane. Mm-hmm. So they like dismissed the phone call and it really wasn't until the next day that problems started to arise when bus 375 failed to report to the station. It had vanished. And along with the missing bus was a missing driver and a missing conductor.
Oh my God.
2 missing employees. So the police started investigating and they started searching and they said that they looked through the entire city of Beijing, which like how, but
how
okay,
would you do that?
I'm sure you did. And they couldn't find a single trace of the bus 375. So they remembered that they got that phone call the night before. So they pulled the old woman and the young guy into the police station. They started questioning them. They again repeated the same story that they had said to them on the phone the night before, but the police just immediately dismissed them again and decided that they were both probably mentally ill.
Oh yeah, 2 of them.
Yeah, they were like, that didn't happen. You were the last ones on the bus. That's really weird, but like, we don't believe your story.
Like, why would they implicate themselves in a missing bus scandal if they weren't really concerned for the people that were on it?
Right, exactly.
Now, I get that people do come back to the scene of the crime and do want to involve themselves, but like an old woman and a young man who have no prior connection with each other.
Have no idea who the other one is.
Right.
That night, the story made its way into the Beijing Evening News, and the Beijing News had reported on it, and on TV were the old woman and the young man who were both being interviewed live, telling the whole city, their story. It wasn't until 2 days later that the police came across the missing bus. It was submerged in the Mayan Reservoir, which is about 100 kilometers from Fragrant Hills, the final destination of the bus. So 100 kilometers is about 62 miles away.
Wow, that's an hour.
Yeah. And inside the bus, police discovered 3 badly decomposed bodies. The body of the bus driver, the body of the conductor, and the body of an unidentified man to this day. There was no sign of the other 2 mystery men in the back of the bus. And when the older woman and the young man got off the bus, the only people left were the driver, the conductor, and the 3 mystery men in the back, meaning that one of these decomposed bodies belonged to one of the men in the back.
The one in the
and
middle.
A lot of people assume that it was the one in the middle being carried into the bus to begin with.
Yeah.
Now, there is another version of this, and I'm going to read the last section of it from Chinese Folktales. Time to be real. So kind of the same situation as before. Bus 375 is supposed to make its final round of the evening on board the driver, the conductor. The older woman, the young man, they get on together. They're not, even though they're strangers, but they buy their tickets and they sit back. Same thing. They see the 3 men on the side of the road. They're dressed, instead of in cloaks, they were in this like heavy, old-fashioned military style coats.
Got it.
And they board the bus. They buy their tickets and they take their seats. Same story as before. The older woman starts accusing the man of stealing his purse. They get off and she tells him the same thing. Like, don't be angry with me, but did you see the 3 men in the heavy coats? Well, I looked back. None of them had feet. They were fucking ghosts. Same sitch. Yeah. You're crazy. No, I'm not. I saved your life. No, you're crazy. I'm calling the police then if you don't believe me.
Right.
The only difference in this version is that the police located bus 375 not in a reservoir, but instead lying overturned in a ditch. And inside, they only found the bodies of 2 people, the driver and the conductor, who both had died from having their necks twisted and broken.
Well, what was weird, too, is that you said that they found the bus 2 days later from the time that it went missing. Why would their bodies be so badly decomposed?
Right. I'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. Regardless of the story, there's 4 things that police couldn't seem to wrap their minds around. First things first was that the bodies that were found were too decomposed for the 48 hours that the bus and the bodies or the people were missing. And even though it was summer, the process of decomposition would just not have been that quick. It was physically impossible.
No.
And an autopsy was ran that confirmed that there had been no intentional meddling, they said, with the decomposition of the bodies. So no one put an accelerant or altered it in any way, and that they had died by drowning. But it still leaves the question, were these 3 people or these 2 people in the back of the bus ghosts? Were they unalive human beings? What were they? The last passengers on this bus before it went into the water that the police know of stated that there were 5 people on board, but only 3 bodies recovered. So of course, this ghostly attack isn't something that the police would accept as any sort of solution to their investigation. So they kept digging, and they asked the bus depot if there had been any changes in the routes of this specific bus. But the officials at the depot told the police that there was no such change, and the route of every single bus is a fixed route. Every day, regardless of situation, traffic, no traffic, fixed route. You go here, you go there, you leave the bus and you go home.
Right.
And this is when the depot says that the bus didn't even have enough fuel to run an extra 100 kilometers away from its final destination, because all of their buses were fueled to this appropriate amount that would be needed to get them from place to place with just a little left over. But still, it was only such a small enough amount of fuel to run maybe 10 to 20 kilometers. And it was more so just for the rare chance of traffic or anything like that these buses, that they fuel these buses with the little bit of extra fuel.
Right. It's set for that shift's route. Right. So once that driver takes, it's filled up right before then, and then they
especially because the GPS tracking wasn't a thing.
Right.
Then so they had to do something to monitor where the buses were, how far they could drive, and
you can fuck with mileage, but you can't fuck with how much gas you've got in there.
Exactly. All to avoid a bus driver taking it home or going somewhere that they're not supposed to be going to.
Yeah, running errands.
So there wasn't enough fuel to go an hour away to begin with. And this is when the police are like, well, that's really weird. So let's go check the fuel tank in the bus. Is it empty? Did they stop and refuel? What's going on? And when the fuel tank was open, there was no diesel in it because the entire fuel tank was filled with blood.
I was not expecting that. And our screen just turned completely red when you said that. That was creepy.
That was pretty cool. That was lighting effects.
That was interesting.
So this was strange for everybody. No one could wrap their heads around what had happened that night and why the fuel tank would be filled with blood and why the bus would be an hour away or 100 kilometers away from where it needed to be. Back then, CCTV cameras were a thing, but they weren't completely installed to cover the entire area of Beijing because it is such a large city.
Yeah, and they're new.
So where the older lady and the young man had boarded the bus, both stops, there was CCTV footage that showed them getting onto bus 375 2 separate times. But where they had left the bus, there was no footage. So there is no sort of proof or correspondence with what they were saying when they got off the bus. Now, there were a couple of security cameras that were set up at various entrances to the reservoir because it was protected, and it was not there's security. You know, they had.
It's not one that you can just go
it's
swim
no
in.
Trespassing reservoir.
It's a reservoir. Yeah.
So there were cameras at the entrances to the main roads that would enter into the reservoir, and the police went through all of it, every second, every minute, every hour for the last 48 hours up until the night that these people said they got off that bus, and they found nothing, meaning they didn't see the bus entering or exiting the reservoir at all.
Damn, dude.
So the urban legend is still a mystery. The story of bus route 375 has since evolved into this like very large horror tale in Beijing. And with the heavy presence of negative energy, people are warned to be cautious, especially on the third day of the third lunar month, which is believed to be when ghosts show up. And so like that's actually something that I really want to look into.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool when I was reading about it.
Yeah, I do want to hear more about that.
Some people to this day will refuse to get on a bus with the number 375 in it, and those that have will report the feeling of being watched. And it's just this pretty widely known thing that if you were to get on a 375 route, you're probably riding alongside the Grim Reapers, plural. And that's my case.
Yeah, because it's a little duo.
That's my midnight bus. Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. And so
I love stories like that.
So I will say during my... sorry, I can't speak today. During my research of this, there was a couple articles down at the bottom that was like, this is based on a true story of a murder, and the murder link would be highlighted. So when I would go to click on that link, the websites were always blocked. And then there was another one that was like, and this also aligns with these paranormal stories. When I went to click on that link, it took me to a website in full Chinese. And then you know how Google Translate has the pop-up translate now? Well, I was just clicking the blue button. That's what I would assume would be translate. It wasn't working. So I could have fucked my computer. Well,
you might have just given yourself a freaking virus.
Yeah. So anyway, they say that it's based off of a true story, but I couldn't fucking find anything for it. There is a movie on it. I think it's actually called The Midnight Bus or Bus 375. So that'd be pretty cool to watch.
Yeah. Kind of want to watch it. Oh my God. I know you already know this, but I didn't realize that that's where you were watching it at. But you didn't announce it to me, so I'm pretty offended.
What?
I don't know how we got here from this. Reba.
I've been binging Reba.
Dude, I was laying in bed last night folding clothes, and I was like, let me find something that I can just mindlessly watch. I really wanted a scary movie, to be honest. I don't know why. Yeah. So I'm like clicking through, and it's like, you know, when I like stopped looking at it, went and did something, come back in, it was like the stream now, coming Thursday, show me Reba on there, and I was like, she was watching Reba on here and no one fucking told me it was on Netflix. So then I started watching and Logan was like, I don't want to watch Reba, I already watched Reba. I'm like, you don't remember it.
See, the difference between us though is that I wasn't raised on Reba. The only reason I know what Reba is because of the nursing home. They all watch it on repeat. It's like it's the only fucking channel in that building. Yep. So I would just catch
CMT.
Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's just on.
And I go so early in the morning that they're sleeping.
Yeah.
And like, or they're half awake whenever I see them. So it's always on. And so I'm always like watching it. And I'm like, I knew all the characters' names, but I've never actually seen a full episode. So I started. I'm on season 4 already.
So good, isn't it?
And I was at home and I was watching it. And my mom was like, shut this off. I can't stand her voice. And then next thing I know, she's texted. I was on the phone with her on my way here today. And she's like, I'm on season 2 of Reba.
Yeah, that's what
I was like, I thought you couldn't stand her voice. And she was like, I'm used to it now.
Dude, it would be like always on whenever I got home from cheer practice. And I would turn it on. So my dad would be like getting home from work and he would go upstairs and change and come sit on the couch while like mom was running errands or picking up, you know, making dinner, whatever. So I'd just turn it on and lay there. And my dad would be like, turn this shit off. I can't stand it. And then literally like after 2 days of doing this, he's like,
funny.
Will you turn on Reba? Did we miss an episode in between? I'm like, yeah, we missed many. We got to go back on demand and go watch all that shit. It's such a good show.
Yeah, it is.
I've never watched it.
It's a great
forward to back, but I like know the whole storyline.
Yeah. It's a great like background show too, but then I get so invested that I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Why is Barbara Jean alone? I gotta get back.
What is Barbara Jean even talking about? What is Barbara Jean ever talking about? Literally, she's so funny. Or little Jake.
He's cute.
They're so cute. Okay.
I love Van. I didn't know Kevin from Shameless was in it. It's
literally
hilarious.
So good. It's such a good show.
Yeah, it is.
I love Cheyenne too.
Yeah,
I love Cheyenne's character development in the show a lot. And Van's. Like both of theirs is really good. Little sister, I can never remember her name, Kira. She reminds me so much of Phoebe. It's unbelievable. Like watching it, I'm like, I think Phoebe may have been influenced to be like her.
Yeah.
From me watching this.
For sure.
100%. Sorry. So it's there's a movie about it. I kind of want to watch it. About your case.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me actually
maybe in between Reba, I'll watch it.
But yeah, that's all I got. Sorry, it was a little short one, guys.
No, I love cases like that though.
Yeah,
I really do. Like where they're like creepy and there's not like, it leaves a lot more space.
I love the legend of it, but like they ruined it with the blood in the fuel tank.
Yeah, that's where it was like, you added that in for the Creepypasta website.
That's what I'm thinking too. But
because like there's no way that really happened. And plus, like if the bus was submerged, like if they even did, would the gas tank have anything in it?
Right. And also it was 1995. You would have some sort of evidence if this was real.
Right.
Unless the year changed.
Right. And how they get through the reservoir, like
how did they find it like that?
Yeah, like I mean, I guess with it being a protected reservoir, someone's gonna fucking notice the whole bus, but like it's just kind of
tire
weird.
Tracks.
Yeah, tire tracks or like some disturbance of a type. Like to go into a reservoir, and if it's a protected one, there's gotta be like gates and shit around it. There had to be a gate downed. I don't know, guys, but my medicine's wearing off and I'm sinking further and further into this chair.
We had a meeting with our manager and we stayed just like this. And so the computer's over here to the left of us. So we're kind of at an angle. And when we got on the meeting, we looked like we were in sleeper pods.
It looked like we were in like those airport pods. We are so cozy right now.
It's hilarious.
We need to get like Creeps and Crimes-esque blankies.
Yeah, we do.
For in here.
I'm gonna order them off Amazon.
Yeah, we'll get those done. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Love you so much. I had something I wanted to tell you guys. I don't remember what it was. I just feel like piece of shit right now because I can't even talk. But I can't think. I was trying to send an email and Morgan was literally like, don't send that.
Let me read that.
Let me fucking read that. I don't think you're talking.
That's fucking crazy.
It sounded insane. But anyways, guys, I'll talk to you next week. I'll probably remember by then what I wanted to say.
You probably will forget forever.
Yeah, I'll have 50 new things to talk about. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.